swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawley-Jean.
This is episode 339. The first spring training games of the 2026 season are about to begin. You're listening to the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe, most importantly, review the podcast. Follow on all the socials. Check me out. I'm at Mully and Haw on X.
You can follow me at Crawley's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, TikTok, Crawley's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. And you can email us at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. Tomorrow, Dustin, we finally have Cubs games for the first time since October 11th. I was in the nosebleeds, the Bob Uecker seats at AmFam, Wrigley North, whatever you want to call it, Miller Park, watching those cursed Brewers celebrating Game 5. And ever since then, I've just been waiting for that moment where you just hear Chicago Cubs baseball is on the air.
We'll also be in crystal clear FM quality, 104.3 FM. It's going to be Zach Zaidman and Ron Coomer on Friday, and then it's going to be Matt Spiegel and Ron Coomer on Saturday. So pretty cool to get Cubs baseball going. Pat will start early March with the Coom Dog.
Yeah, and they always do the bit about, the questions everyone asks you when you get there. It's a classic Pat bit, so always fun, and I'm looking forward to hearing it in FM. This is going to be like a whole new world for a Cub fan to hear it as clear as you're going to clear it. You know what I mean?
Nothing better than that. It's crazy. I mean, the FM quality, it's a thing. It is a thing, but that's not why we're here. But it will be exciting. Yesterday, I will definitely be tuning in on FM. Might even have to crack open a Michael Busch.
There you go.
Here, because my Friday started about 10:01 after I'm done with Mully and Haw on the score. But we've got some Jed Hoyer audio to listen to, and we've got some Craig Counsell stuff we might get talking about, and some Tom Ricketts. That's really what we're going to break down today, Crowley.
Yeah, we've heard from Hoyer, we've heard from Counsell, but now we have the boss, Tom Ricketts, and one of the first things that, he really wanted to talk about was expectations. And again, this has been a running theme throughout the bigwigs in the Cubs front office.
I mean, everyone had high expectations last year, I think they're higher this year. I mean, obviously we have, effectively the same team last year, plus a couple of key components that should contribute. So, I would expect everyone to have higher expectations this year.
You got higher expectations than last year?
I do have higher expectations than last year. I do. Last year, my expectations were probably slightly exceeded. I thought they could be a team that would challenge for a wild card. This year, I think they're a team that must win their division.
Yeah, and for anyone that didn't listen to the last episode, we had Craig Goldstein on, and it was a lot of fun talking with him about PECOTA. And so, the expectation here is that the Cubs win the division for the first time since 2017. At 90 wins, and then Brewers in second place in 80. But again, Craig talked about how Milwaukee always kind of tends to overshoot those projections. But yeah, I think that if you don't win, getting into the postseason, I'm not going to say it's nothing, but it's not what it used to be with the amount of teams that, that get in there. It's not that big of a deal. So who knows?
Playoff baseball, Carly. Come on, let's not sell it short.
I'm not selling it short. I'm just saying that at this point, my expectation is division. That
right. But I mean, last year, would you agree? Would you agree with me last year that just getting in was about where you were at?
I was looking at it.
Was your expectation division last year?
It was. I thought that I felt that they should have won the division. I did not see Milwaukee winning almost 100 games. I didn't see that coming at all. I thought the Cubs were going to be a postseason team. I thought they were going to get a first round bye, and it didn't happen. And so, hopefully I think my expectations are ratcheted up even more this year. I think they're a better team. And so I'm hoping that, for health and that they are able to kind of get down there and really kind of make some noise deep into October. That's what Tom's expecting. That's what I'm expecting. And hopefully that's what all Cub fans are expecting at this point. But Dustin, one of the big talks that everybody's kind of had going on really has been about extensions, and we've talked about on this show, Ian Happ, Nico Horner, Seiya Suzuki, Jamison Tyone, Shodi Managa, potentially Matt Boyd, mutual opt-out on that one. Here's what Tom said about those guys that are not under contract after 2026.
I hope everyone has a great season. All those guys are real professionals, and they always come ready to go, and they always give their best. So I'm not sure that'll change at all. I'll leave it to Jed on what the roster construction looks like in the future. That's 100% his decision. But I just hope that everybody has just a great season. And some of the guys, might move on next year. I don't know, but I think everyone's focused on 26.
He's saying what he's got to say. But Dustin, take a look at what Matty Lee had to say here. This is from Matty Lee on X. Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki say the Cubs haven't yet engaged them in extension talks. So Ian Happ, Dustin, has been through this before. He said, going back to the last time, I've always said I'd be open to talking about anything. Seiya Suzuki said, I want to work hard and perform well, and hopefully they say yes. Nico Horner says he is not discussing anything about anything. Any talks, he's not discussing it with the media, so there's going to be nothing there. So we don't know if Nico has been talked to or not. But, that's a pretty big list, But I think the guys that we can say, probably most likely are going to be going elsewhere, Jamison Tyone, Shodi Managa. And then if Matt Boyd has a great year, I could see him opting out and trying to get a bigger contract at that point.
Right, but it's almost like they were lining these contracts up with this labor situation, pending, correct? I mean, it was
correct.
Like it signed up this way.
Correct, but that doesn't mean that you can't extend.
No, but again, if I were Nico Horner, right? If I were Nico Horner and I wanted to bet on myself, I'm going to see what happens. You're going to
test the market?
I'm going to test the market. Well, not only test the market, but see, are we going to have a salary cap? Aren't we going to have a salary cap? That kind of stuff.
But if they do have a salary cap, couldn't that kind of hurt some of these guys?
Well, it could, right? It could, but that's what I'm saying. He has to make a decision on whether or not he wants to bet on himself. And I think that's part of betting on himself, that there may not be, right? Maybe the players have said, if there's a salary cap, we're sitting out, period, full stop.
Let me ask you a question. Out of those three, Happ, Horner, Suzuki, which is most likely to be the one that the Cubs would be interested in extending and try to work something out with?
I would think it was Horner. I would think it's Horner at this point. I hope it's Horner at this point.
Because you're probably not going to bring back Happ and Suzuki. It's going to be one of those two.
One or the other. It won't be both. It'll be one or the other. And I don't think either one, unless Suzuki has like a monster year. I mean, Ian Happ, he's getting a little older, right? He's not old, but he's older baseball wise.
Right. And so, you mentioned, Dustin, this idea that, this all kind of seems like it was all added up, that all these guys were going to expire at the same time. But Dustin, that's not the first time this has happened, that the Cubs have been through this, where everybody is, contracts are up at the same time. We went through this in 2021, and that was with the core. And here's what Tom Ricketts had to say about that core and breaking it up.
It was never really it wasn't the first strategy to have to let everybody go all at once. We were always hoping that we could maintain a consistent team that could compete for the division every year. For a lot of reasons, we didn't get any extensions. We couldn't trade guys, that we wanted to trade during COVID. It was really hard to do that. So we ended up in that situation where we had to let a lot of those guys that fans really love go at that point. But once you do that, it is all about the future and replacing that with people that will contribute to future wins on the team and just start to, kind of brick by brick get back to where you want to be. And I think he's done that. So I think obviously everyone knows we had a good season last year, and we've got a few additions this year, and we should be able to go farther.
So Dustin, talking a little bit about that, that was brutal. I mean, I remember being a fan and being at the game. I was at that last game where we were all hoping that at the very least they would let Rizzo or Bryant take one more at bat because they weren't in the lineup the day before the day of the trade deadline. Didn't happen. And, I'm sure, I heard you guys talking about this on the Mully and Haw show. Mully has been off all week, but I heard you guys kind of talking about this video specifically right here about Chris Bryant, and this is heartbreaking. Listen to this.
But yeah, it's difficult. It's not easy waking up in pain every day. So, so now we're here, and I think just try to determine next steps while I'm here and with the training staff and the doctors.
I mean, waking up in pain every day.
You feel bad. You definitely feel bad. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that you feel bad. And, we've all, I'll just say I've been guilty of, he's on the back of a milk carton. Come on, where's he at? Da, da, da. And you just, sometimes you get your fandom takes over and you get a little bit ahead of yourself.
I think more than anything, it's weird because we were so mad at the time and, I just couldn't believe that none of the three were going to stay. But when you think about that core group, right? When you think about it, Lester never really kind of did much when he was done. He went for the Cardinals for a little bit. You take a look at Jake Arrieta. He didn't do much in Philly. Came back with the Cubs. Didn't do much his second go around with the Cubs. You talk about Javi Baez. I mean, he really only had a couple good months last year before the All-Star game.
Correct.
If you take a look at his second half, it wasn't anything spectacular.
Nope.
Rizzo was in the perfect spot because he didn't have to be
the guy,
one of the top three hitters. He just had to be a guy.
The guy. Yeah. He had to be a guy, right? Not the
right.
guy.
And Chris Bryant, hasn't done anything. And so when you take a look at all the angst and the
Bryant
anger
got
and the
paid the most, right? Bryant got paid the most of that group.
He got paid $180 million. And so, or 160 million, $165 million. I mean, if you think about it, for everybody that was mad at Jed and everybody was mad at everyone, it turned out to be the right decision, not holding on. The only one that was the big mistake was Schwarber.
Yep. Yeah. And Schwarber, and Schwarber just cashed in big time this offseason. So good for him.
Yeah, good for him, man. Good dude. And I'm glad that's happening as far as that ability. But, Dustin, one of the big questions now here is the luxury tax and why all of a sudden, Tom Ricketts seems to be okay with the luxury tax and the deferred payment and what that had to do with last year's success. So here's what he had to say.
The tax thresholds are something that we keep an eye on just because if you go over by a little bit, you can cost yourself a draft pick or something like that. But effectively, the way we put our finances together is more related to what we can afford as a club and what falls out of all the different revenue opportunities that we try to take advantage of. So, it isn't really the big factor this year. So, hopefully, we'll have a great year and it'll all fall right in place.
So, I mean, here's the thing, Dustin. It's Alex Bregman. That's where, the Cubs right now are literally nose to nose with the luxury tax. The luxury tax this year is $241, and the Cubs right here, right now, today are at $240. And so that they're going to hit that extra mill. There's no question about that. And so, was it last year? Was it those postseason games? Was it getting that extra money? Was it that push knowing? Because here's the thing, Dustin, it really isn't that big of a deal to hit that first tier luxury tax. Where it really starts to nail you is if you are a multiple time offender, right? That's where you really start to lose draft picks and get taxed ridiculously and lose international pool money and all that stuff. But if you're just hit it one time and then not the next year, it's not that big of a deal. And so we talked about it earlier about Happ, Horner, Suzuki, Tyone, Managa, maybe Boyd. The Cubs are going to have a lot of money coming off the books. So I don't see them being as a multi-time offender. So, I just only wish that they would have done it last year with the idea of getting, Alex Bregman and just this idea that you wish that, I'm curious what would have happened if they would have had Bregman last year, would have done the same kind of deal, the deferred deal, et cetera, et cetera. But it is what it is, and we kind of carry on here. Tom talked about what we were talking about, Dustin, our expectations and winning a division. And here's what he had to say.
Well, obviously, we want to win the division. We should win the division. It's just a matter of executing and staying healthy, and I think we should be right there. You want to win the division for a lot of reasons, not just because it's aggravating not to, but you want to put yourself in the best position for the playoffs as well. And so hopefully that we'll execute against that plan and be there at the end of the season.
I love that line, Crowley. I love that line because it's aggravating if you don't. Love that line.
It is, and it's the Brewers. The last time, Dustin, because everyone knows I don't count 2020. That was make believe. But the last time the Cubs,
I love that. It's make believe.
A 60-game schedule. It was just ridiculous. 2017 to me is the last time the Cubs truly won the NL Central. And yeah, it is frustrating. It's frustrating, especially that you keep losing it to your neighbors to the north in Milwaukee. But yeah, I keep thinking about it, Dustin. I was at 4 of the 5 playoff games between the Brewers. I went to 2 in Milwaukee, game 1 and game 5, and I went to 2 at Wrigley, both games at Wrigley. And oh my God, that atmosphere at Wrigley Field was electric. And we didn't need a scoreboard telling us when to cheer, when to wave towels, or none of that crap. We knew what it was.
You didn't?
No. And that's just what makes a big deal is that I often wonder, Dustin, if the Cubs had home field advantage for that, do they beat the Brewers in 5?
Right. And I think that's why it's so important to win the division and not be the wild card team, right? Because that way you get that very extra important home game in your place if you are the winner of the division. You're not on the road for the deciding game.
Oh, it was such a good crowd, man. That wild card and that division. But Dustin, one thing, and we don't like talking about it, but we have to talk about it, is a potential strike looming. And here is what Ricketts had to say to the fans.
Tom, do you have any advice for fans when they're hearing all year long about both the ownerships and Players Association posturing as we move toward December 1st next year and the CBA being do you have any advice to fans as to how to internalize that when they hear about the game possibly being
well, my first piece of advice, and one that I'm going to take, is enjoy the season, enjoy the games as we have them. Obviously it's the last year of the collective bargaining agreement. There's some both the league and the Players Association want to make some improvements from their perspective. I leave that to the league, and we'll see where it goes.
Enjoy the games as we have them. That didn't sound great.
No, that didn't sound great,
Crowley.
And the other thing that I don't Bruce asked a question, good question by our guy Bruce Levine, but all in all, if there's no season, there's no All-Star game at Wrigley in 2027. Think about the potential, revenue generated by a Cubs All-Star game for the first time since 1990. That's it almost is just ridiculous when you think about it. Dustin, the last time there was an All-Star game at Wrigley, I was a freshman at high school. This summer, I'm turning 50. That's the difference between how long it's been since the Cubs last hosted an All-Star game. So, I get what he's saying. Hey, it's enjoy it while you got it. Well, I'm going to try to enjoy it while I got it, but I can't help but have that in the back of my head a Cubs fan.
Right. And that's what's scary. It's like it's like a warning shot, right? It's like a warning shot.
How about this for a warning shot? Jeff Passan dropping this one. MLBPA Executive Director Tony Clark resigned after an internal investigation revealed he had an inappropriate relation with his sister-in-law, who was hired by the union in 2023. Dustin, what the hell's going on?
Well, there's a lot wrong with all of that, right? There's a lot wrong with all of that. An inappropriate relationship with your sister-in-law. Imagine going home and trying to explain that one away.
And you know that all eyes are going to be on you. You know, anytime. I mean, why would you even hire anybody from your family? I mean, it just looks bad to begin with. I'm just sitting here just absolutely stunned. This is what Ian Happ, he is the union rep for the Cubs, had to say.
How did you hear and what was your reaction?
Yeah, I saw the pass and tweet, and then we got a text message. I haven't been briefed on the situation, exactly what's transpired and why, so I can't speak intelligently on it yet.
Is at least the timing of it a little jarring given CBA talks and, MLB PA visits about to start?
Yeah, I don't know that it's ideal, but I would say that for the most part, the strength of the union is in the players, and the players ultimately are the ones that dictate the direction that any negotiation or any talk is going to go, and so that doesn't change.
Yeah.
I just love that. I love, though, Crawley, he saw the pass and tweet. He's consuming it exactly like we are.
But here's the thing, is that the union goes out and they meet with everyone from the Cactus League, and then they go to the Grapefruit League, and they're supposed to converse. What's the status on the talks? What are some rules you got to know? That it's a big thing. And now it's completely just turned upside down. Now, today, Bruce Mayer was named interim executive director of MLBPA, the Players Association. And Dustin, to be honest, Mayer was the one that did the negotiations.
Yeah, he's the lead, just so everybody understands, right? It's important that we get this out there. He was the guy that was already doing the negotiation. Tony was more of the face of the whole thing.
Right. So, this is not good for the players. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, Bruce may have been doing it, but still just a bad look, especially at a time when you need everybody in lockstep, because this is going to be a brawl, and it's going to be bad. But Dustin, speaking of brawls and problems going on in the game, one of the biggest problems is the RSN model and what's going to happen with that. Here's what Tom Ricketts had to say about this. And it's a big deal because you have two different sides in this. As far as ownership is concerned, you have the owners of the big market teams, the Cubs, the Yankees, the Dodgers, Boston, who have their own networks. And then you have a bunch of teams that are going to be, smaller teams that MLB has already acquired the TV rights to because of bankruptcy with Bally Diamond and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I got to be honest. All this, who's going to broadcast the games and this, that, and the other. It's very confusing.
So here's what Tom had to say about that.
Very happy with the product. Everyone is. I mean, we've won tons of Emmys, and we get great feedback, and we have broadcasters who are loved by the fans, and we do a great game day production. But we also have the economic realities that are facing other sports networks and the declining revenue model. So we just have to balance that out and try to, focus our efforts where we can, get a great experience and a great production for fans, and just being mindful of expenses because it's getting tougher.
So they're not going to want to give up all their control, but Manfred wants MLB to control the rights to all 30 teams by 2028. So if you remember when with the Cubs and Marquee, before they had Marquee, they had to wait for all their contracts to expire, which they all did. But this is going to be in 2028. The deals with Fox, TBS, etc., they all expire. Manfred wants all 30 teams, and he's going to want more national type games. We've seen the Roku games and the Apple TV games and the Prime games, and he wants to do more of that. So I don't know what's going to happen. And we know what's been happening with Marquee and all the cuts. They lost everybody on the digital side, like Tony Andracki and Andy Martinez. And then you lost the GM. Colin Faulkner's the GM now, who has zero TV experience. I don't know how that's going to work. Dustin, it is going to be tricky. And this is the frustrating thing here, is that, Tom's happy with the product. I've been happy with the product, but it keeps getting less and less of a product. This right here, Dustin, is the marquee lineup for spring training broadcast schedule. Okay. 11 games. So Dustin, in 2024, Marquee broadcast 24 spring training games. 2025, 17. This season, 11. That's more than half of the amount of games that they broadcast in 2024. And they want me to pay $20 a month to get Marquee, the stream. I mean, does that sound good to you?
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
sound well. It just sounds like they don't want to have. And didn't they also they were broadcasting the games, but the broadcasters were back here. There was just obviously the cameras were out there. Something like that was going on as well.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. It's just been bizarre, Dustin, and I
it's
don't
cost
know
cutting, right? It's cost cutting. That's what it is. Bottom line, it's cost cutting. But again, I get why you would be upset about paying what they're asking you to pay when it's really not what they say it's going to be.
If you told me we're going to broadcast every spring training game, I'd be handing out my money, no problem. Here it goes. But you're telling me I'm only going to get 11 games? I mean, it's not that much, to be honest with you. It's kind of disappointing. But Dustin, we do have our first spring training game tomorrow versus the Chicago White Sox. And we did get some news from the skipper, Craig Counsell.
Share your first pitcher for Friday.
I think it's Jamison Tyon. Yeah. Yeah. I think Matt Boyd will pitch on Saturday.
Friday's lineup?
I gave you Seiya yesterday. He's playing. That's about all I can remember.
Craig Counsell in mid-season form. You take a look. JMO will be getting the ball versus the White Sox. You know, it's only going to be maybe.
I love it. I love that he's getting the ball, buddy.
1 or 2 innings, I'm probably guessing. But the reason that he was able to tell you about the WBC is because about Seiya Suzuki being in the lineup is that most of the Cubs participating in the WBC are leaving February 28th. But Seiya Suzuki and Jonathan Long are set to depart on February 23rd. Seiya obviously playing with Team Japan, Jonathan Long for Chinese Taipei. And so they have to leave early because to get in Tokyo, to get acclimated to all this stuff. But okay, so Seiya's going to be playing the first couple games, no problem. But listen to where he's playing.
Playing tomorrow. He plays center field tomorrow. Then he'll play one other game. And then I'm pretty sure he gets on a plane on the 23rd. So that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I think he gets on a plane.
Center field, Dustin, for Seiya Suzuki.
Field. Now, if Seiya Suzuki starts one game in center field, something's gone very, very wrong.
Now
for the Cubs, right? Very, very wrong.
Very wrong, but I do think there is some reasoning. He is scheduled to be the everyday center fielder for Team Japan.
Well, exactly. That's where I was going with that, Crowley. Correct. That's what's up. Mm-hmm.
That's what's kind of driving that. But Dustin, you know, I am truly excited that we do get baseball back. And, you know, it's going to be like we talked about. It's going to be on the score with Boog, or I'm sorry, with
Zach. It's going to be Zach and Coombe this coming tomorrow.
Zach and Coombe.
Spiegel, and then Spiegel's doing it on Saturday. I don't remember who's doing Sunday. I want to say it might be Spiegel Saturday and Sunday, but Sunday might not be a Cubs because there might be a Bulls conflict. I don't remember, but I know for sure Friday and Saturday are on the score.
Friday and Saturday on the score. On Sunday, it is not being broadcast anywhere. Okay. Sunday or Monday, no broadcast on Marquee or the score. So, you know, it's
well, again, and again, I work for the score, obviously, and I love working for the score. And, you know, let me double before I misspeak, Crowley. Let's look this up. Let's help everybody fill in the blanks, because what I want to say is that you would think that the two sides would work a little bit together. We do have a working relationship with them, and you would think that one of us would give Cub fans almost every game, right? You
right.
would think if it makes sense. So again, it's a weekend. So I'm just trying to look really quick in my app whether or not Bulls basketball is on Sunday. That's what I'm guessing is going on, because we've already got people out there. Coombs going to be out there. So there's no reason other than Bulls basketball. And drum roll, please. Sunday night, we got Bulls basketball.
So you could have done it.
7. So you would think it's a 2:05 and a 7 o'clock. So I just
105 local.
Yeah. So I don't
There's
know.
going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games where Marquee and Score are broadcasting at the same time. So yeah, you could have taken that, divvied it up, and at least given us, a little something. But again, I am going to truly enjoy the game, and hopefully, like I said, everybody. The main thing is staying healthy and watching those young players. But you are going to see a lot more of the WBC guys playing earlier and more innings than that you would normally see them before they go off with their teams. So that is something to keep in mind.
No doubt about that, Crawley. No doubt about that, and I think that's an exciting factor in all of that. This is episode number 339, first spring training game right around the corner, starting on Friday. You're listening to the Fly the W podcast. We are proud to be part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to our podcast, the Fly the W podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. Email us, Crawley's Clubhouse, gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us, as some of you are, on the Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube page. In this segment, Crawley talks to Tim Sheridan, the voice of spring training for your Cubs. He has been the PA announcer for the Northsiders since 1984 to talk about spring training games in Arizona. You are listening to the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. It is episode 339. The first spring training games of 2026 are about to begin. 5-star review, we'll take it. Don't forget, listen, download, review, subscribe. Email us, Crawley's Clubhouse, gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us. That's right. We are on TV, YouTube page. Crawley's got one, Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, MLB news that we want to kick around before we get to that Cubs promotional schedule that I know everybody loves to get their hands on.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. There's not really much going on. A lot of the big names that were left are still left. So it's kind of slowed down. We kind of knew that was going to happen. I mean, Lucas Giolito hasn't found any home or anything like that. So everything's kind of,
I heard he's looking for a multi-year, like $15 to $20 million. Okay. Well, you might be sitting out all year then, man. That's a weird one.
Well, Dustin, again, we talked about this before. All of a sudden, if you're a contender and you lose a guy, it goes down, and you're between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, someone may get desperate, right? Yeah, somebody's gonna be desperate. But wow, I mean, holding out for that kind of dough, I was surprised to see that for sure.
I'll say what I always say: especially for pitchers to come to camp late, I feel like they get behind the 8 ball right away. It doesn't work. But some important news: our guy Dominic Guayoro just put right here. Hey, Crawley, just got tickets for Father's Day for my grandson's first game. Congratulations, Dominic. Do not forget, Cub fans, tomorrow, Cubs tickets go on sale to the general public. Now, I'm just telling you, I'm a season ticket holder. I've been a season ticket holder for 26 years now. I sold the tickets I wasn't going to go to last night. It is the fastest I've sold tickets since 2017. So I'm just going to tell you, the demand is going to be high. The demand for certain games with certain giveaways and certain events is going to be high. The Cubs were already promoting this. They had giant bobbleheads around Chicago. Look at this. This is a replica of the giant Zobrist bobblehead. This is a replica, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, of the giant Kerry Wood bobblehead. This is a replica of the giant replica of the Sammy Sosa bobblehead. So all of those were in Chicago, and they were giving away tickets today in various locations. And I don't know if they were giving away bobbleheads, the small bobbleheads. I don't know what they were doing, but there was definitely a buzz. The World Series trophy was out, so people were taking pictures with that. An amazing day, but everybody knows that for me, Cubs promotional schedule is such a huge thing. And it was late this year, Dustin. It was about a week late. Okay. And so that was kind of surprising. I was kind of waiting. It didn't go. Now, for those that are interested, there is one notable omission. And I know in the collector's world, there were some people upset about this. Hawaiian shirt day. There is
there's no Hawaiian shirt.
So a little disappointed. Some people were in that. The Cub magnet schedule's there. I love it. It's got the old, like 1930s retro look right there. So the first 10,000, I'm going to give you Crawley's advice. Bring a gallon Ziploc bag because it usually is wet and rainy or drizzly on that April day. But if you bring a nice
drizzly.
Ziploc bag.
There's a verb, drizzly.
Bring a Ziploc bag, chuck it in there, and that'll keep it dry and looking good. Early on, the first couple weekends in April, you're going to see this right here. This is the Ben Zobrist, and a lot of people were very surprised, Dustin, that there weren't a lot of 2016 themed giveaways. This is really there's this and another that I'm going to talk about, but that's about it. Like 2 real giveaways. This is April 11th, Ben Zobrist. If you remember in 2017, he had a bobblehead where he was jumping up in the air and his helmet was on the ground. This is the next moment after he jumps in the air is the pointing to the sky. So I'm sure that one's going to be big. Dustin, this one got me super excited here. How about April 18th against all teams, the Mets? I'm hoping they did that intentionally. A Ron Santo, he's got a spring, and he's clicking his heels. And so Ronnie's never had a bobblehead, even when he was alive. He never had a bobblehead at Wrigley when he was alive. And the only bobblehead he ever had was the statue bobblehead, the replica statue bobblehead. So this is kind of the first like players bobblehead that Ronnie's ever had. So that one, I'm sure people are going to go nuts after. That's going to be a lineup early. In May 2nd versus the Diamondbacks. This is a much better Kerry Wood bobblehead than they gave away in 2004. And Dustin, if you look at the background on this, is the famous picture of all the people with K's. All the K's and the different jerseys. I don't know if everyone knows this, but it was my PE teacher in middle school that brought the jerseys. And I was going to say
you had a connection. I remember you told that story.
Yeah, and I have a K sign, but it's a photo from right there. And one of my a friend who was friends with Mr. B, Mr. Tom Bunjowski, he told me he's definitely going to be the first one in line to get that one. So very cool. Now look at this one. This you got to be careful. This is a special event ticket, meaning it's not first 10,000. You have to buy a special ticket through a special link. Those of you that know that the Mandalorian and Grogu, the movie's coming out for Star Wars night, May 4th, may the 4th be with you. This cool Grogu bobblehead. But again, special event ticket. Now, Dustin, I am not Mexican, but if I was, take a look for Mexican Heritage Night. I know our guy Miguel Esparza, Spanish broadcaster. You have the jersey, which looks cool, but can you see this bomber jacket? That's a special VIP ticket, and that is sick looking. If I even was 5% Mexican, I'd buy that jersey because
there were some cool nationality nights last season. There were some cool ones.
That jacket is sick. Now, Dustin, obviously we lost Ryan Sandberg last year. That was a very low moment of the season. But how about this bobblehead? Okay. This bobblehead, for people that aren't big in the bobblehead world, he's got the MVP, but they do this thing that's called stack gold gloves. And Ryan Sandberg was a guy who had 9 gold gloves. So he's kind of standing on all the gold gloves there. I absolutely love that May 24th. That one is going to be crazy. This is going to be the game, Dustin, that you do not want to miss. The 2016 World Series anniversary celebration, July 18th versus the Twins. The band is getting back together. They're going to bring a whole bunch of players back. And you remember, Dustin, they aren't doing a statue. They're doing a dedication ceremony. That will be in Gallagher, the entrance to Gallagher Way. If you were walking from Clark and Addison to Clark and Waveland, like walking towards the triangular building, the Gallagher Way building right there. So that's going to be a huge game to get to versus the Twins. I have a feeling that that's going to be the first game to sell out, maybe even before opening day. I don't know. These are pins for those pin collectors like myself. July 22nd versus the Tigers. Javi Baez in town. You're going to get one pin. Can you collect all 4? Who knows? It's a random pin that you get. One of them is Rizzo final out. The other's a 2016 pennant. There's one that says Cubs win from the marquee, and the other one's everybody jumping in the big pile immediately after the final out. So that's a really cool one. I like that one there, the pins. Another big day that you're going to get, August 29th versus the Reds, Cubs 150th anniversary celebration. I've heard nothing about this so far, about what the plans are. I was at the Wrigley 100-year anniversary in 2016, and they brought players from every decade. They had Dick Butkus and Gale Sayers on the field. They had the huge cake. They had everything retrofitted like it was in 1914. People dressed in period pieces and jersey giveaways. I don't know anything particular. I just know August 29th versus the Reds, that's going to be what happens. Now, Dustin, not all the bobbleheads are winners. And I saw a lot of feedback on this one here. August 30th for the Reds is going to be the Harry Carey bobblehead giveaway. That does not look like Harry Carey, Dustin.
It does not look like Harry Carey. It does not. I thought the same thing.
The best comment I got was, it looks like Johnny Knoxville right now. And so you Google Johnny Knoxville. It looks exactly like Johnny Knoxville. Not the greatest design on that one. Don't know what happened there. So this is August 29th. The Harry Carey's August 30th. Also August 30th is the Chicago Cubs Hall of Fame ceremony honoring Jody Davis and John Lester. So kind of unusual that they're going to have a bobblehead giveaway that weekend. I don't know if they're doing they've done in the past where they would do one day one guy, one day the other guy, and then the last day the two. It really wasn't like that. Yes, last year it kind of was, not really, not like it has been in the past, but that's the game to see Lester and Jody Davis get inducted into the Cubs Hall of Fame. This was a big one last year, Dustin, but it got rained out. The Hello Kitty night, September 3rd. Look at that jean jacket that you could get with the special VIP ticket. Again, not first 10,000.
But if you buy the ticket, then you're guaranteed the giveaway.
Correct.
And you don't have to be there early. You're not fighting the crowd. You're paying for the game, and you're paying for now. Typically, Crowley, is that usually a set price, or do they vary based on game and giveaway?
Game and giveaway, and also too, like this one, you can buy just the Hello Kitty plushie. Okay. And if you want to go for the VIP package, then you get the jacket.
Gotcha.
So there's different price tiers.
Is the VIP part new this year? I don't remember that last year.
I don't recall that ever.
I remember
they did have it. They did have it.
They did. What were some of those? Do you remember one particular?
I remember it was a Hello Kitty one last year, and there was another one that was some internet personality that I don't even remember who she is, and she did an awful 7th inning stretch where she looked at the camera and did like this whole thing. It was awful. I can't remember who she is, and I'm trying to erase it from my memory. So that they haven't had it before. How about this right here? Sammy Sosa, September 13th, doing the infamous hop, is a very cool bobblehead. Girls Night Out, cool purse, and again, VIP package jacket. Look at that jacket.
It is a cool purse. My wife.
You might want to take the wife out for this one, Dustin. Get her a nice jacket and right there. And then in the bleachers, they're doing these retro jersey giveaways that are really nice. They had these a few years ago where they were tank tops, but these are jerseys, so they look really, really cool. All sorts of different decades. So 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Actually, I didn't really see a 70s, but one other team, Dustin, did have a giveaway, and I wanted your opinion on this. Look at this. The Cleveland Guardians are going to be giving away a Rajai Davis 2016 Game 7 bobblehead. And amongst the bobblehead community, we're talking, do Cub fans want to get this and make this part of their World Series bobblehead collection? And I asked the question on Twitter, has any home run by a team ever been so celebrated in a game they lost? And we couldn't really think of something. I don't know if you could think of one. We had a couple good examples. The Cubs did give away in 2014 for the Wrigley Centennial. They gave away a Babe Ruth calling his shot home run. And so that was a game that the Cubs lost. It wasn't even a game the Cubs lost, and that wasn't even a Cubs home run. It was Babe Ruth's home run. But that was there. The other thing that people brought up was Pudge Rodriguez's home run. But at least, Dustin, they won the game in that game. They didn't win the series, but they won the game. So I don't know. Where do you stand on the Rajai Davis home run? Do you think it's awkward that Cleveland's doing it?
Yeah, they lost. They lost. You lost the series, and you lost Game 7. I don't get it. I mean, does anybody even want to remember that? That's dumb.
It is very much celebrated in Cleveland. Still, it's a huge thing. And the only equivalence that I could come with Cubs wise, Game 1 of the NLCS against the Marlins, Game 1, Sammy Sosa hit a home run to tie it, but they lost that game in extras. And then in Game 7, Kerry Wood tied it up with a home run that shook the stadium, but they lost that. So I mean, you remember it, but I don't ever remember like giveaways or, a little bit weird, but consequent, whatever. How, if they want to celebrate it, I'd rather just celebrate the trophy. They can celebrate however they want to celebrate, but I'm just debating whether or not I should get a Cleveland friend of mine to pick me up one of those bobbleheads and put it, because I have 4.
Yeah, different for you maybe. Like, but otherwise, I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it.
So is there a one?
I mean, it looks okay. It looks okay. I'm trying to think. Like, okay, so like, how about like Kerry Wood hitting a home run against the Marlins? Yeah,
right.
I mean, right? Like, did they do that? No,
nope.
But that's somewhat similar, I guess, right?
Right. And so if you were to say out of all of these giveaways that I've shown you, is there one that you're saying to yourself?
You didn't show the one that you didn't show mine. You didn't show mine. There's no doubt about it. And I might be going to that game if we get a break in the weather. My high school daughter is on spring, or my junior high daughter. That's not Russia. It's already rushing up. Is on spring break, and I'm thinking about going to Wrigley. And then I was thinking about the Cubs actually, Crawley, are going to be in Cleveland that weekend. And I was thinking about going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've never been there, and maybe see the Cubs in Cleveland. But I want the Cubs puffer vest. I mean, come on. If anybody, I wear a vest basically every day except like July. And even in July, I wear one in the morning to work. It's like my man bag. So,
all right.
If I can't get there, I'm going to have to see if Zach Zaidman can help me out.
All I'm going to say is I expect you at some point in time in late March, early April, to be on the Fly the W podcast wearing your puffer vest coat. I'm looking forward to that, Dustin, but I am looking forward to these giveaways. Great job by the Cubs promotional department. I will be at 99% of these games, so you'll definitely see me there.
Gotcha. All right, buddy. It's looking pretty good. Well, Crawley, I think that's a wrap for this one, huh? That's a wrap on this one. Don't forget to listen, down the review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. You can email us your thoughts or questions at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. You can watch us by subscribing to Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube channel. Again, this was episode 338. Have a great 339 rather. Enjoy the games. We'll be back early next week telling you all about what we saw, and hopefully you can tell us what you saw.
And here we go. Start tomorrow. Excited. No more waiting. Go Cubs. And I am frozen.
It's all over.